Okay, it's 4 p.m, so we're going to get started. Thank you to everybody that's joined us today. You should hopefully be able to see and hear myself and my colleague Anjali. We are from the Education Liaison and Outreach team at Middlesex University, and we're here today to deliver a session on personal statements. So we've got the January deadline fast approaching. So for anyone that's not done their personal statement yet, hopefully this will be a really useful presentation for you. We're going to be going through the structure, we're going to be going through some examples. We are asking that you get involved as well. So we've got a couple of polls that we'd like you to answer. And we'll be getting you involved. So a little bit of housekeeping. This is in the webinar format. So what that means is we can't hear or see you. The way that you need to communicate with us is through the Q&A box, which should be at the bottom of your screen if you are on a laptop or computer and you're signed into Zoom. If you're watching via your phone, it will be in the left-hand corner. We aren't able to unmute you just because there's quite a few people on the call and you're not able to kind of talk to us directly using your kind of microphone. So what we suggest is that you communicate with us through the Q&A function. We'll be able to answer your question either live or through kind of messenger, and we'll be answering questions towards the end. If we're able to answer questions as we go, we will try to, but between Anjali and I, we are delivering the presentation. So if not, we will answer questions at the end. Hopefully everyone can hear us. If you can't, just pop something in the Q&A, but we'll begin. So this is a kind of untraditional presentation. We are asking that, as I said, that you do get involved, and this is a workshop that is asking you to help us with 4 celebrities that we've got, and we want them to write their personal statements. So as well as providing you with lots of advice and guidance around how to formulate your personal statement and kind of what to put in it, we are getting you to take part and answer some example questions that we've got there. So first off, I'm just going to pop a poll up. I'm going to launch that poll. How many of you have started your personal statement? Where are you at with it? It would be great to kind of find out a bit of information. So that should have popped up on your screen now. Okay. Okay. So I'll leave that up just for another couple of seconds. Oh, we've still got a few people. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. So I'll just share the results. No one else can see your answer. And it's a bit of a mixed bag, which is great because this presentation is designed to kind of support you at whatever stage you're at. So for the people that don't know what a personal statement is, you will know by the end of this. There's lots of information about what it is, what to put in it, how to start writing your first draft. For those of you that have already got a first draft, there will be some useful tips in here to support you. And if you haven't started it yet, you will, hopefully, if you take down some notes, we've also got some resources that we can share with you as well. Feel confident in writing your first draft. Okay, so let's get started. So we've got 4 celebrities that we want to write their personal statement. So I'm just going to go through them. Hopefully you know who all of these people are, but if you don't, we'll let you know now. So you've got Marcus Rashford. He's a footballer and free school meals champion. And he wants to study a degree in politics. We've got Malala Yousafzai. She's a female education activist and she wants to study human rights law. We've got Nicola Adams, and she's a boxer, but she actually wants to do a degree in dance. And then we've got Boris Johnson, and he is a politician and our Prime Minister, and he wants to do a degree in theatre performance arts.
So when you are writing your personal statement, it should be around 4,000 characters long, which is approximately 500 words or one side of A4 typed. And when you are writing your personal statement, you need to be thinking about why you want to study this course, what motivates you, what's inspired you, and what are your ambitions, what are your future goals, and why do you want to study this course? Also, think about what makes you suitable. What are your relevant skills or experiences or any achievements that you've got in the past that you think are relevant and that will make you suitable for this course? We also think it's super important that when you are writing your personal statement to start off in Microsoft Word, because that way you can check your spelling and grammar. Once you put it into UCAS, there is no spelling and grammar check. So make sure you're completely happy with it. Make sure you're completely happy with the spelling and grammar, then copy and paste it and pop it into YouTube. But we've got a quick 2-minute video from our student ambassadors, and they're giving some top tips on how to write their personal statements.
You can shape your personal statement just by answering 5 simple questions. Why do you want to study this course? This is the most important part of your personal statement, but also just the most fun. You get to talk about the reasons why you want to apply for the course that you do.
Now it's time to talk about any work experience or volunteering that you've done. This is your chance to show off any key skills you have, such as teamwork or time management that you've gained outside of school.
Let's talk about your time at school or college. This doesn't mean your grades. Erase them from your mind. Your university will receive them automatically through UCAS. This is your chance to talk about your own unique personal experience and to discuss how this has prepared you for university.
Whether you love sports or you're part of an active drama society, the university will want to know about it. This is the fun section where you can talk about skills you've gained from taking part in school sports, clubs, and societies. For example, you may have a role of responsibility, or maybe a role as a team leader in a society, or maybe you took part in the music competition.
Are there any other activities that you enjoy doing outside of school or college? Maybe you like reading or writing or painting. You might even be TikTok famous. Universities want to know this information and find out a little bit more about you, your interests, and your hobbies.
Your conclusion statement is your chance to tie everything together. In my conclusion statement, I talked about how excited I was to go to university, meet new people, and join new society. Now I've got an amazing group of friends, and I'm a member of Ultimate Frisbee. It's a real thing, I promise.
Don't forget, if you are going to apply to Middlesex University, you can receive extra support. You're able to send your personal statement over to a team of experts and receive personalised feedback on it.
Stay safe, good luck, and we will see you soon.
Brilliant. So that brings us on to the suggested structure. So even for those of you that have done your first draft, you may want to go back and have a look at how you kind of structured your personal statement. And for those of you that haven't written your personal statement yet or even started, this is how we suggest that you structure your statement. And if you look on other universities' websites, or even if you look on UCAS, this is the same structure that they suggest as well. So 2/3 will be academic. So this is all around your school or college experience, or even if you aren't in a school or college at the moment, then your kind of experience of learning is really important to talk about. And then 2/3 of that is non-academic. So that's all about you. Universities really want to know that you're a kind of a well-rounded person and that you actually are a person and not a robot behind writing your personal statement. So it's nice for you to put in some information about yourself, things that you're really interested in. And as Jess said in the video, you know, if you've got passions outside of school or college, that's also really nice to talk about, and things that you're kind of looking forward to doing at university, whether that's maybe joining societies or you've got some kind of projects that you want to get involved in. And then finally, the concluding statement. And as you can see on the screen, that is extremely short. This should literally just be there to wrap everything up. And hopefully that picture on the screen kind of shows you how much you should be writing for each section. What you may find is that once you start breaking it down into these sections, the problem that you have is actually you've written too much and you need to cut it down, because if you remember, it's 4,000 characters, approximately 500 words, and that's about a page of A4. So what's on your screen at the moment is kind of how it should look when you're creating your personal statement.
So who actually reads your personal statement? So it's really important to remember that a real person is actually going to be reading it. So it's going to be a university staff, admissions team, or one of the university lecturers. So Because they'll be reading hundreds or even thousands of personal statements, it's really important to make yours as interesting and making it as stand out from the crowd as much as possible. When university admissions teams are looking at your personal statement, they are looking for your motivation, and they expect your statement to refer to your choice of course and show your passion and show why you want to study that course. Even though you will be processing your applications through UCAS, they aren't involved in any of the decision-making process. So they'll send the applications to the relevant universities and the relevant course leaders, but they have no actual input in the decision-making process. So it's just really important to remember that a real person is reading your personal statement, so try and make it as genuine and show off your passions for that subject as much as possible.
Brilliant. We did have a question about what UCAS is. So that's the Universities and Colleges Admission Service. So this is the kind of body that processes applications for UK and some international students and some EU students. So if you're an international student applying directly through a university portal or through an agency, it is likely you will still have to write some sort of supporting statement. So this presentation should be helpful for you in terms of kind of how you sell yourself to the university. But when we refer to UCAS, that is the kind of body that processes the application and sends them off to the relevant universities. When you apply through UCAS, you can get up to 5 choices for various different universities and courses. So you write one personal statement that then goes off to those different universities. So something to remember is that you shouldn't, we do have it in the do's and don'ts section, but we'll cover that again, is not to mention a specific university unless you're only applying for that one place. So we often get asked a lot about nursing, midwifery or social work, what people should put in. So we've just added in a really, really quick slide. So there are some competencies for health courses that you do need to cover as part of your personal statement and then also within your interview. And this is also a good point to mention that if you are on a course that does interview, don't feel like you have to pack your personal statement full of everything about you, because there will be an opportunity for you to expand on this at interview or audition or within your portfolio if you're on a kind of creative course. So there are quite a lot of courses that do interview. So whichever university you're applying for, do check the kind of admissions requirements and then what is required of you once you've been kind of given an offer and any kind of conditions around that. So for nursing, midwifery and social work, what you kind of do need to talk about is what would make you a good nurse or midwife. There are some particular skills that are really important, things like communication, so being able to actively listen, being able to recognize non-verbal communication, and kind of non-verbal like cues are really important, because you will be working with all different types of people. Being able to show that you're compassionate, empathetic and caring, also showing that you're really motivated, and these are, you know, some skills that you're able to take on to other courses as well if you're applying for something different. Things like communication are really good to talk about, showing that you're really motivated. Lots of courses now are extremely fast paced, so being able to show that you're really committed is really good. For nursing, midwifery and social work, an understanding of diversity and equality is so important. It's super, super important, because you will be working with various different types of people from all backgrounds with different beliefs and different wishes, and you need to treat everybody the same. So being able to demonstrate that's really important. Also good team working skills, good timekeeping, problem solving, and also being confident and not shy to ask questions.
So if you remember from the structure, the first thing you need to look at is why you want to study this course. So think about why you're so passionate about your particular subject area, and ask yourself things like, which course would you like to study? Why are you interested in studying that course? What makes this field so interesting to you that you want to study it for 3 to 4 years? Is there anything in particular that inspired you? And also start to think about your career goals, your future aims and ambitions that you might have. So now we're going to look at Marcus Rashford. So he is beginning his personal statement. Now we've got two examples. I'll read them out to you, and then it's your job to choose which example is better, number 1 or number 2. So the first one is, the reason why I want to study for a degree is because of the following reasons. I want a higher degree and better qualification. I want to gain more experience and knowledge. I want to improve my political skills, and I want to have a good career later. Or the second example is, I want to study a politics degree because I am passionate about having a positive impact on people's lives. I'd love to be able to use my degree to affect positive change within our government. So there'll be a poll popping up soon, and you've got to choose either example 1 or example 2, and let us know which one you think is the one that he should pop into his personal statement.
We'll let it run for just a little bit longer. Oh, we've got loads of people taking part. Great. Okay, I'm gonna give it another second. Okay, I'm gonna end the poll now.
Okay, so we'll share the results with you, and 86% of you, so the majority of you, have all said that example 2 is better than example 1, and that's the example that Marcus Rashford should pop into his personal statement. And the reason why number 2 is better is because number 1 has spelling mistakes. You can see the X, he hasn't put the E in front of experience, he spelled that wrong. But also, as well as the grammatical and spelling mistakes in example 1, he actually doesn't demonstrate his passions. So in example 2, he talks about, the positive impact that he wants to make on the during the second positive impact he wants to make within government. So that's why the second example is a better way to start off your personal statement.
Okay, so the second section that we would suggest that you move on to next is around kind of the work experience or voluntary work that you've done. So it's important to talk about kind of the skills that you've gained from your work experience, and it really doesn't matter what work experience you've done or when you did it, as long as it's relevant to the kind of course that you're applying for. Some courses do ask that you have a specific work experience in a particular field. So in maybe kind of like pharmaceutical or some of the other health programs, they do ask that you've done maybe a week's worth of work experience or a certain amount of hours, specifically for things like veterinary medicine and veterinary nursing. There is a kind of hour requirement for the amount of time you spent working with animals in maybe a vet or some other kind of, it could be like a dog sanctuary or a rescue kind of organization, something like that. But for most courses, your work experience will be relevant regardless of what you've done. So what we're really trying to see is the skills that you've obtained from the time that you had your work experience. So relevant skills could include things like time management, teamwork, leadership, problem solving, communication, diplomacy, numeracy, like it goes on and on and on. Things like analytical skills. Are you able to present? Can you speak with confidence in front of people, public speaking? Have you had any increased responsibility? And if you have had work experience in that particular field, then you're able to kind of talk more about it. So as an example, you can even use, it can be paid, unpaid, full-time employment, part-time employment, or even just voluntary. And it can also be physical or kind of online work experience. There are a number of different organizations that do online work experience now, things like places like the Forage. There are also other kind of, if you want to get some like medical online work experience, is it Medical Mavericks? I might get that wrong.
Yeah, medical Mavericks.
And there are some places where you can do kind of like Zoom calls with GPs and things like that. So you're not short of opportunities to gain some work experience. And while some courses don't require you to have work experience as a requirement for entry, it is really good just to demonstrate that you've kind of got the skills that are going to help you when you're at university. So as an example, you could say that you babysat children or worked at a summer school where you taught children a number of different things, and say you were interested in studying education, for instance. You could say that really shaped your passion for wanting to study education, and then go into detail about the things that you did and what you learned from that. There are tons of different kind of examples, but we're just going to go through one at the moment with Nicola. So if you remember, she wanted to study a degree in dance. So this year I took part in a dancing competition where I learned great team working skills, as I had to work with my partner to create new routines every week. Working in this challenging environment and within a close-knit team greatly improved my communication skills. Or the second one, I took part in a dance show and it was hard and grueling and tough, but it went well. I found it joyful, and I think I would be good if I learned more about it. So I'm going to pop the poll up now. Tell me which one you think Nicola should use for her section on work experience. Okay, we're over halfway on the votes. Okay, I'm going to end the poll there. Brilliant. So yeah, majority, 96% of those that voted said number one, and that is exactly the one that we would pick for a number of different reasons. Firstly, it is positive. The second one, you will notice, says that her dance show was hard, it was grueling, it was tough. It comes across quite negative. If your passion is dance, then you don't want to be saying that things were extremely tough and grueling. You can say, and you can allude to the fact that actually, you know, you found it a little bit difficult, but actually what positives did you find from that, and what did you learn from that, and how did that then instill your passion for actually wanting to study that particular course. She also doesn't talk about any of the skills that she learned, whereas she was able to cover both team working skills and communication skills, and also, without actually saying it, her kind of memory, which is really important when you are becoming a dancer, because you're going to have to remember different choreographies, and you know, you're going to have to manage your time really well as well. So she's got quite a few different skills that she's kind of talking about within that section there.
Now we're going to move on to the section about your experience at school or college and how that's prepared you for university. So when you're thinking about this section, it's really important to think about how you felt your studies have helped you progress into higher education. Was there a particular project, a particular module that you really enjoyed or you excelled at that's inspired you to now choose to do this course at university? What skills have you developed during this time? Or have you been able to kind of balance your academic life with your social life? Have you been able to gain those skills? It's really important to think about it's really important to remember that you don't need to add any of your grades in that will already be on your UCAS application. So you don't want to be wasting any characters on those. It's more about what you've enjoyed, what's inspired you, and what skills you've gained that you want to talk about in this section. So we're going to look at our next example, and this is from Malala. And so her first kind of attempt she wrote was, "My school campaign for girls to be in education has prepared me for studying a human rights degree, as it taught me the value of education and the importance of standing up for one's rights." Her second example was, "When I was at school, I was a passionate advocate for female education. Leading this project gave me the skills, experience, and insight I need to study human rights at university, and furthered my passion for standing up for one's beliefs." So here's the poll. You've got a few seconds to choose which example you think that Malala should add to her personal statement.
Okay, I'm going to end the poll in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so thank you for answering the poll. So 93% of you said that the second example was the one that she should add into her personal statement. So actually, with this one, It's a bit of a trick question. Both examples could have been used, but we, like you, would lean towards the second example, because in the second example, Malala demonstrates the skills that she's learned. Her passion is also really shown through in the second example, and it also shows the extra responsibility that she took and how learning at school will support her on her uni degree. So the second one is better, but there's nothing wrong with the first example. It's still a very good example, and it still would be good in her personal statement.
Great. So we're moving on to section 4, which is still within your kind of academic side. There is a chance for you to also talk about things outside of school or college. So for this one, we're kind of looking at kind of how do you feel that your studies or the sports clubs you've been in or various clubs or different activities will help you progress on to higher education. So it doesn't necessarily have to be sports. Often people will lean towards that because that's the bit that comes first, but you can also be talking about kind of any extracurricular projects you've done. Was there a project that you actually enjoyed? Did you take part in some sort of like change initiative? Are you a prefect? Are you, or have you done a bake sale? Have you raised money for charity as part of your kind of school curriculum? And again, it all goes back to what skills do you feel you've learned and developed during kind of the course of these activities, basically. You can ask yourself maybe a couple of questions. So have you been able to balance your academic life with aspects of your social life? Because that's really important to be able to do that when you're at university, because university is obviously really important. You're here to study, but there is also the social side of it as well. So being able to demonstrate that you're able to balance that is really important. And also another thing around, have you actually been able to gain any skills when studying independently or virtually? So the last few years have obviously been really difficult for everybody, and you've not had the same kind of schooling as other people in years before you, but you are very well equipped for university life because a lot of the study that you will need to do is independent. And in some cases, when you go to university, you may be working in a kind of hybrid model. So you'll be on campus for some time and then you'll be expected to work virtually in other times. So the experience that you've had at kind of school or college currently, or even if you're not in school or college at the moment, but maybe you're in work and you may have had to be working from home, what skills can you kind of demonstrate from that you can bring into your personal statement? So as an example, you could also talk about sports as well. So it could say that you've been part of the school or college netball team. Working as a team has really benefited you because you've been able to understand the importance of communication, decision making, and kind of organizational skills too. So if we look at this example, we've got Boris here. So he says, recently I took part in school play where I got the chance to experience all aspects of theatre, because remember, he's applying for theatre arts, from staging to performing. This was an invaluable experience for me as I learned to work as a team to tight deadlines, and we achieved a shared goal. Second one, in school, I enjoy performing. I always love a joke with my mates, always entertaining. I'm pretty great at it. I'm fantastic at improvisation. In fact, I don't even need a script. Also, one of my skills is pointing and umming. So I'll pop the poll up for you now. Okay. Going to give it another second or so. Okay, right, I've just ended the poll. Okay, so we did have some people pick number 2, but majority of you picked number 1, which is the one we would definitely lean towards. The reason why we won't take number 2 is, although it's great to show, and we did say at the start, it's really good to show your personality, and that's the first chance that universities kind of get to know who you are outside of your application, which is an online document. But it is still a formal piece of writing. So you don't want the first kind of encounter that they have with you to kind of think you're a bit of a joker and that you're not taking university life seriously. The whole point of your personal statement is to really sell yourself and show the skills and experience that you have to really excel on that particular course that you're applying for. So with number 1, Boris is able to do that for us. So he's able to show that he actually has a vast experience of all aspects of theatre, because although he's actually going in for kind of theatre arts, which is like a performance based course, there may be times where he needs to also kind of work with costume, work with staging, work with lighting, and maybe even also be able to work with other kind of arts and creative industry students if there are other projects. So actually it shows that he kind of has a broad knowledge of all of that, and also has the kind of skills that are going to be really useful on his particular degree course.
Okay, now we're moving on to the next section, and this is when you're talking about any other activities you're interested in outside of school or college. And I know there was a question that popped up in the Q&A that was, does the club have to be related to the course you're applying for? And no, it doesn't. It can be anything. So even if you're not applying to do sports science, but you are captain of the football team, that's still a really good experience that you can draw upon and talk about, because you're able to take key skills that are relevant through that experience, and you can still bring that into your personal statement. So when you are thinking about the other activities you're interested in, just think about your hobbies and interests. I know some people think they have no hobbies and no interests, which is completely wrong. Everyone has something they're interested in, and this is the bit of the personal statement that's quite fun and that can be very it can be very fun and doesn't have to be academic based at all. You can talk about how you describe yourself as a person. Are you quite chatty? Are you quite extroverted? Are you introverted? Are you a good listener? How would that help you on your course, and how would that help you in your future career plans? What are your strengths? Have you had a really valuable or exciting experience that you think the admission staff would like to know about? Have you been traveling? Have you taken a gap year? Anything like that. This is a section to put it in, because like I said before, these admission staffs, they are real people and they want to know a little bit about you and a little bit about your personality. And this is where your personality can shine. So we're back with Marcus Rashford, and so these are his two examples. So his first one is, I really like helping people. I've taken part in some community projects that have made a big difference, and a big difference which felt really good. And this has helped me to decide that politics is the right career for me. And the second example is, outside of school, I am a champion for young people. I believe they should have access to basic necessities such as food and education. Recently, I contacted my local MP, and as a result, we were able to change the policy around free school meals. This has given me further motivation to study a degree in politics. So like before, a poll will pop up and you can choose which example you think that Marcus should add into his personal statement.
Okay, I'm going to end the poll. 3, 2, 1.
And the majority of you have said that the second example is the example that you think that Marcus Rashford should add into his personal statement. And yeah, number 2 is the correct answer, as he's able to talk in depth about his extracurricular activities, and he also talks about his future plans and how his extracurricular activities has been helpful to him and will be helpful to him in his university degree too.
We did have a couple of questions before I move on to the conclusion around mature students. So if you're completing an access course, yeah, you're able to do kind of everything we've said. So what I'll do is, once we finish this presentation, there is a document, a resource that we've got that breaks down all of these sections into kind of more questions for you to ask yourself. Obviously your access course is quite short and sweet. You don't get the kind of option of doing that over 2 years like you do if you're doing A-levels or BTEC, but you are gaining so many skills, because it's likely that you may be working part-time If you have a family, how do you juggle that work-life balance? That's really important to be able to talk about. Obviously, what have you learned so far on your course? You'll be in your second term now, so you will have learned something that you're able to kind of talk about. Any previous work experience you've had is also relevant for you to discuss. And that was the same. We also had another question for someone who left school over 20 years ago. That's absolutely fine. Work experience doesn't kind of age if you're able to bring out the relevant skills and demonstrate that actually you've got like that team working skills, you've got that communication skills, or even also things like keeping up to date with like different articles, or if you've done any more research, you know, have you read books on the particular topic or subject area that you want to go into? It doesn't just have to be kind of like physical activities like sport or taking part in like big kind of drama societies or big societies. It can be very small bits of kind of extracurricular that you are doing at home. So do you follow particular kind of bits of information on social media? Do you keep up to date with kind of the current affairs around your particular subject area? All of those things are really important to talk about. We also, as do other universities, have a number of different kind of like live lectures that you can watch back so that you can keep up to date with your knowledge. All of those things are really relevant to talk about as well. There will be something for you to kind of pick out. So I will, once we finish this, I'll pop the document up, and if anyone wants it, we can pop it into the Q&A for you, just so that you're able to kind of see how you break down those sections. You don't have to answer every question, but they do just kind of help you start putting pen to paper and getting the ideas out there. So for the conclusion, this is the kind of last bit where you wrap it all up together. So you can ask yourself a number of different questions in order to kind of complete this bit. So things like, are there any aspects of university that you're most looking forward to? That's really nice to kind of think ahead and kind of segment yourself at that institution. Although you don't mention your particular institutions that you want to apply for, it's nice for the reader to kind of know that you see yourself at that university and that's something that you would like to pursue. Are there any particular clubs or societies that you're already taking part in that you'd like to join? You know, what sort of career path do you want to have later on? You may already talk about this in your first kind of section where you talk about why you're so passionate about that particular subject area and why you want to then study that. But if you don't, you can add that into the conclusion. And then also a bit about yourself and kind of what you can offer to the university. It is an essay about you. So it's really important that you kind of build a relationship with the person that's reading the personal statement. So let's have a look at this final conclusion. So we've got Nicola Adams. So she says, I believe I would excel as a dance student at university, thanks to my experience in dance competitions, my lifelong passion for being on stage, and my skills as a team player. Number 2 says, to conclude, I believe I would be a great dance student because I've danced in lots of competitions before, such as the time I went on Strictly Come Dancing, where I also had to work as a team player. I also know that I am driven, motivated, thanks to my career in competitive boxing, where I've trained 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. So have a long, hard think. Which one would you choose for Nicola's conclusion? Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. Okay, I thought this would happen. Most people have picked number 2. And whilst number 2 is extremely well written and covers a lot about Nicola's skills, her experience, what she's really looking forward to, if you remember at the start, we said the conclusion needs to wrap it all up. So it was that very, very small sentence at the end of the kind of full page document. So what Nicola said in number 2 is really relevant, but that should be put kind of within the starting points of her personal statement, because she's introducing new information to us at the end of the personal statement. She's telling us that she's a competitive boxer. We only know that because we've kind of told you that, but if someone else was reading it, they may not know that that's a passion of hers or something that she's doing, her work experience or kind of, you know, her previous career. So she's telling us all of this, and the fact that she's really competitive and, you know, really determined because of the times that she's trained and how long she's trained for. But number one is the bit that wraps it all up and is what we want to see from a personal statement at the end. So if you find in your conclusion you are still writing kind of new information, see how you can add that back in to the other parts of your statement.
So we're just going to go through some do's and don'ts on what you should be writing in your personal statement. Now, I know you probably know a lot of these already. They're quite normal, basic ones that you've seen already. But Sophie and I have read lots and lots of personal statements. And when you're writing them, you sometimes forget and you sometimes make mistakes. So it's always good to remind you of the do's and don'ts. So make sure that you do show your strengths and outline your ideas clearly. Try and be as enthusiastic as possible. If you show you're interested in the course, it might even help you get a place. Do expect to produce several drafts of your personal statement before being totally happy with it. It's normal to produce, 7 to 8 drafts where you're tweaking it, you're adding things in, or you're cutting things out. That's still part of the drafting process. Do ask people that you trust for your feedback. So ask your teachers, ask parents, ask friends to read through your personal statement, even read it aloud. That's a good way to maybe spot any mistakes that might pop up. Don't be tempted to buy or copy a personal statement or share yours. All personal statements are checked, and there is a check-in service when you pop it through UCAS called Turnitin. And that will pick up any kind of copywriting issues. So if you have copied something from the internet or you've got a similar personal statement to a friend's, UCAS will pick it up and it will be classed as copyrighted. So do not copy or buy a personal statement. Don't exaggerate. You might get caught out if there's an interview process or if there's a portfolio. So don't exaggerate. Just try and keep it genuine to what you've done. Don't rely on spell checker. It doesn't always pick up everything. So like we said, do it on Microsoft Word to begin with. That's a great way to pick up spelling and grammar mistakes, but it won't pick up everything. So just make sure that you've read it through, you've got multiple people to have read it as well. And once you're happy with it, copy and paste it into UCAS. And also don't leave it to the last minute. You don't want your statement to be rushed. Don't do it on the night of the 25th. Try and make sure that you give yourself enough time to create those 7-8 drafts, enough time for your teachers to read through it. And that way, you know that you've included everything, all the important information, and you showcasing your passion for that subject. And a big thing, just don't let spelling and grammatical errors spoil your statement. Like I said, Sophie and I have read lots and lots of personal statements, and it can happen when you've been looking at the screen for so long and you know what you're trying to say and you know that a word is supposed to be spelt like that. Because you've been looking at it, you might not pick up those spelling and grammatical mistakes. So it is really important to make sure you triple check it, you get as many people as you can to look over it, because it is a really important piece of academic writing, and it's the first time the universities actually get to hear from you. So it's nice to make sure you put your best foot forward.
So I was just answering loads of questions in the Q&A, which is brilliant. So there's a number of different resources that we've got to help and support you. We've got our personal statement pack, which I will get up in a second, or I'll pop in the Q&A for people to see. We've also got a 5-minute personal statement workshop. So everything we've spoken about, we wrap it up into 5 minutes for you to go back over if you want. And at the bottom of that, the personal statement pack is also there. Other universities also have tons of resources to support you as well as UCAS. So there are loads of resources to help and support. Also, if you do need it, there is a personal statement checking service. If you just type it in on Google, personal statement checking Middlesex University, you'll get our online personal statement service. You can send us your draft, we'll send it back as soon as possible with some feedback for you so that you know what to update in your personal statement. We'll tell you what's working well, what's working not so well, and then hopefully that will enable you to write your drafts moving forward. So please do start popping your questions in the Q&A. If you would like to come to an open day to visit Middlesex, we are hosting an on-campus and also a virtual open event on the 12th of February. You can also scan this QR code and you'll be able to put your details in, and then we can keep in touch with you if you want to find out more about Middlesex. Do come along to this open event if you want to. We will be there checking personal statements. Yes, it is after the January 26th deadline. In some cases, depending on your course, you may still be able to get a place after that if some courses aren't kind of filled. Some of the more kind of competitive courses, you may find that there may not be spaces. So we do advise you to try and meet the January 26th deadline. But if you don't, then just apply as soon as possible, because you may be able to still get a place on your chosen course. Okay. Okay, and that's it from us. I'm just going to stop sharing. There are some questions in the chat. I'm just going to, Anjali, find the
that's fine. I'll
statement service.
The question for master's programs. So if you are looking to do a postgraduate course, we have specific postgraduate open evenings. Off the top of my head, I don't know when the next postgraduate open evening is. I can quickly
check if you want.
And that will be a great place for you to have a look at the different master's courses that are available. So our next one is it's on the 23rd of March. What I'll do, I'll pop in the link in the chat so you can have a look. I know it's a little it's a couple of months away, but it's a good time to have a look at that link. It's got a lot of information about the different postgraduate courses that are available, and you can have a little look and do a bit of research. Okay, so we've got another question come through. So my college had sent me my UCAS application, and I received a link to do an interview, but I can't get any day. Okay, so does that mean that you're not available for any of the days that they've requested, or any of the days not showing up? If you are having trouble with kind of interview days, what I recommend is whichever university you've applied for, maybe just give them a call, give the admissions team a call. If you can find an email address for the course leader, they're usually on the website of that university, so you'll be able to find some sort of contact details, contact the university, and they'll be able to help you find an interview slot. I'm sure you'll be able to do it, do not worry. Would the admissions team like to see students acknowledge their strengths as well as their weaknesses and shortcomings in their personal statements, or just strengths? So we like to just, with it being only 4,000 characters, we do really want you to just think about your strengths at this point, and just think about what experiences you've done and what strengths and what skills you've been able to get from those. So for example, if you have if you're a tennis coach, and you want to go into education, for example, that's a really great way to showcase the skills and relevant skills and experience that you need to be good at that course and to be able to learn on that course. What will happen if you don't pass your GCSE English? Can you do it in uni with your course? So usually they do ask for your GCSE English, but it is very course dependent. It depends on whether you want to do a foundation course or an access course. It depends on which course you are applying to do. Is English and maths entry requirements for mental health nursing? So for GCSEs, yes, you will need your GCSEs in English and maths to apply for mental health nursing. If a personal statement weighs more than a reference letter. So yes, your personal statement is really, really important, especially because it's written by you and it's the first thing that the admissions teams are going to read about you. The reference letter that your tutor puts in is super important because obviously, you know, they are talking about you and they're going to say really lovely things about you. But your personal statement is a great way for you to showcase your passion for the course, why you think you're suitable for the course, and your career ambitions, which your reference letter will talk about your skills and how you've got on at school/college, but it won't reflect the passion you have for your course. So it is super important that your personal statement is, you know, showcasing you and your passions. I've done my studies in another country. Do I need to send my certificates to UK for statement of comparability? So I'm not sure if you have to send them. You don't have to send them. I presume you can just like send a copy, but the university will send you a link where you can upload that. So until they tell you to, I wouldn't worry about it. Just apply to the university first and just fill in the relevant information that you need to. Is there someone I can talk or message personally? I would like to ask questions regarding qualifications I already have and possible program I can do. Okay, what I can do is I'll send you a link to the admissions team on Unibuddy. They'll be able to answer any questions around kind of admissions and qualifications, and they'll probably be the best person to talk to.
Sorry, I think I've just.
That's fine. If you want to send them the links.
Where was it? I've lost the chat. Sorry. There was a question here around the January 26th deadline and what it needs to include in terms of all of the paperwork. Yeah, so you need to do your UCAS application, your personal statement, your reference also needs to be submitted. So the whole application needs to be submitted by the January 26th deadline. That's the equal consideration deadline. As I said, there may be opportunity for you to apply for your chosen course after that deadline, but it does depend on spaces. On your screen at the moment, hopefully you should be able to see the QR codes for the personal statement booklet. So if you've got your phone, please scan that and the personal statement review. If you want to send us a draft, just scan that QR code and then we'll be able to have a look at your personal statement and make kind of provide you with some feedback.
We can carry on answering a few more questions because we still got a few minutes. Do you need maths for midwifery? So yes, ideally, if you have a GCSE in maths, that is really good for a midwifery course.
Let's see, we've got some more.
A previous degree in accounting and law, but I'm looking to go into nursing now. And I was told I wouldn't be able to apply as an undergraduate as it's been over 5 years. Should I still go ahead or apply, or should I apply for postgraduate?
If you've never had any nursing experience and you want to become a nurse, then you will still need to apply for university. The only time that may be different is if you've been practicing in another country, but if this is your first time ever doing anything in the kind of health related field, you will need to do a degree in nursing.
I already have a degree. Do I need English and maths? I think you still might need your well, if you've got onto a degree course before and you didn't have English and maths, I think you might actually, hopefully you've already passed those criteria. So hopefully in your new degree you may not need English and maths. Sophie, is that right?
Yeah, it's important for you to just check with each university because they all have different requirements for what they're kind of looking for. So yeah, talk to your different universities. They all will have like some form of like chat service. So if you're applying for Middlesex, sometimes they'll take experience over kind of formal qualifications if you've got X amount of experience in a particular field that is related to the degree you want to go into. But it is kind of on a case-by-case basis. There are people talking about the experience that they've had. Yeah, any work experience can be used to write your personal statement. So for particular courses such as pharmacy, health related, so that's nursing, midwifery, social work, there's kind of maybe some engineering courses, veterinary, there are some other kind of professions where you can only go into that profession if you've got that particular degree. They may ask for very particular work experience in that field related to the one that you want to apply for. But for most courses, any work experience is relevant because you're just picking out the skills and experiences that you've had and relating that to the course that you're going to want to go on to. So yeah, retail experience is absolutely fine. It's actually great if you talk about the experiences you've had during the kind of COVID period, because it has been a period of change for everybody. You've actually been able to balance your work, home life and actual kind of study life, education, in some cases for everybody in such a turbulent time. That shows real resilience, and that is one of the kind of key skills for university, because university can be particularly difficult at times. There will be times where you'll be expected to be putting lots of different essays in at the same time. You may have exams. There are pressures around going to university. So it's important that you can show and demonstrate those skills, that you're able to kind of get through those kind of tougher times, and then kind of meet the shared goal of actually, you know, being at university and doing well in your course and then eventually graduating. So yeah, I think it's a really, really good skill. There's also things around if you've got previous study at another university, yes, your foundation degree may be used to help make a decision in your application. Again, it depends on the university that you studied at previously, the modules you studied, and how long you studied there for. That is kind of dependent on each university requirement. So for that, we ask that you talk to the admissions teams directly. I'm just going to really quickly, Anjali, for all those people that have just said, can you put the link in? I'm just going to do that. And I don't know if there's any other questions to...
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was typing some of the answers that I knew I could just quickly type in. There's a couple of other questions. Do you have to pay £1,000 deposit when you're applying together? So no, you only have to, so if you're applying through UCAS, you have to pay then to use their service and to apply to university. But once you've paid that kind of one-off fee, you don't have to then pay anything more for the applying process. I have a higher education certificate from Middlesex. Do I need to reapply through UCAS or directly to the university? So it depends on the course that you're applying to. If you're applying for a master's course, it's a completely different process. If you're applying for another degree, then you can apply through UCAS. Can you give us admissions email? Oh yeah, I'll just type that in now. I just sent that to someone else. So this is kind of all the contacts details, so not just admissions, so anyone that you need to talk to about stuff, this is the best place to find them. Hey, if you want to start university in September 2022, do I submit personal statement by January 26th? Yes, you do, and you should do it through UCAS. So if you are in school or college at the moment, your kind of career service, your teachers, your tutors will be able to help you with that. If you are not currently in school, I think Sophie is going to just send you the link to UCAS.
Yeah.
And then that way you can upload your personal statement, pop in your personal details, make your choices on there.
Yeah, for some people, if you're not quite sure what UCAS is, it may be that you are applying directly through an agent, or you are applying directly through the university portal. Most universities have really, really kind of comprehensive international pages, so you'll see where you need to apply, how you need to apply, and kind of by when you need to apply. If you're going through an agency, they should be supporting you as well, but for UK, EU and some international students, you'll be applying through UCAS, sorry.
There are another question.
Sorry, go on.
Are there any other open days or workshops before January 26th? So for us at the moment, this personal statement workshop is part of our Ace Your Application live series. So we have a few more workshops within this live series that finishes on Wednesday. What I'll do is I'll pop in the link to it. So you'll be able to just have a look and see if there's any other kind of workshops that are relevant to whatever course you're studying, and you're more than welcome to obviously pop along, and we'll be able to see you then. Thank you.
We'll just answer the last couple. There's one around, what if you don't do good in your interview, would you still be admitted? So it all depends kind of on your performance. You may think you didn't do very good, but maybe you did do very well. You're looked at on kind of a case-by-case basis, so your application, your previous kind of knowledge, and if it's a course that does require you to have experience, kind of what that is, and then also how you perform at interview. But also one of the ways that staff kind of decide whether or not you're suitable is also through your personal statement. So it's not just solely down to the interview, there's all these other kind of elements, and you can also get feedback, and there are, if it depends on the course that you're wanting to apply for. If you're thinking of doing nursing, midwifery, or even social work, or you're thinking of going into an arts related field, or you've got to do a portfolio, we've actually got sessions on that this week for you to kind of go along to and gain some tips and tricks on how to kind of ace your Middlesex interviews. But obviously some of the tips can be related to other places too. The best way to kind of ace your interview is just to do a lot of research and kind of see what other people or what the tips are from the universities. They may have previous kind of live streams that you can watch back. You may be able to talk to previous students and ask them questions about the interview process. Just prepare yourself as best as possible. There was a question that came in very early around somebody who is a midwife. So you did your basic midwifery in Nigeria. It's been 3 years. So again, this is a question for the admissions team to kind of ask them whether your previous experience and the degree that you've got from your from your previous university or institution is enough for you to then take on maybe a short course or a sort of conversion course for UK midwifery, or whether you would need to go back and do a full bachelor's again. But that would just be through mdx.ac.uk, and then in the bottom corner a little chat box pops up and you can talk directly to admissions. There's one question around kind of looking at different websites and seeing that there are good and bad formats of your personal statement. Yeah, I mean, the format that we've suggested, that suggested structure, is the one that UCAS suggests and many other universities suggest. So if you were to use that personal statement booklet, if you were to put all the information into that, you can't go wrong because you're covering everything and you're working in the kind of suggested format for many different institutions. UCAS fees, I will double check. It is around, let me just double check for you. It's basically cheaper. So it's £22 for one choice, or £26.50 for 2 to 5 choices. So it's better value for money for you to apply for up to 5 choices. Even if you maybe know that you only want to go to one university, unless you've got your qualifications and you know that you're definitely going to be accepted, it's always good to have a backup choice, in which case doing the £26.50 would be better for you, because you'll be able to have a kind of insurance choice as well as a firm choice university. Somebody wanted, I'm just going to send across the Ace Your Application link. So I'm just sending that to you now, and you'll be able to book on. I think we also already answered this question about the foundation year. Yeah.
Okay. And then, yeah, I wasn't sure about this one.
Again, this one around whether you can swap and change courses is one for admission. So that would be to get in touch with our admissions team.
I will just pop you the link so you can do that. No, I've lost the link. Wait, there's so many questions.
Yeah, it's been really great to meet you all virtually and be able to kind of hear what questions you've got, and hopefully this session has been really helpful and supportive for you. But yeah, very, very easy to find the information. I think in your follow-up communications that you'll be receiving at some point with the link for watching this back, we'll also send you through the personal statement booklet as a way for you to kind of do your draft or your second draft or third draft, whatever you've got up to at this point. Ah, lovely. Got some really nice comments. That's great.
That's really nice.
Great that you've enjoyed this. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll hang around for another couple of minutes if anyone's got any more questions, but otherwise you are free to end the meeting. But best of luck with all of your personal statements. Do feel free to send us through your drafts. We'll have a look at it and we'll send it back to you. Yeah, and hopefully for some of you, we may see you at either applicant days or at another open event if you are applying kind of immediately. Yeah, I will just send through the personal statement review to you.
What I'll do.
So the question around needing to be vaccinated against COVID in order to study nursing, this is an ongoing conversation that's taking place. So the best way to actually kind of get an answer is, give me 1 second, I'm going to get up the link to the nursing page. We're really fortunate in the fact that one of our members of staff is on Unibody quite a lot of the time, so she will be able to kind of answer your questions about that, because she's the one that's having the kind of conversations about it. Let me just get that for you. Sorry.
That's okay. I can have a look at the other question that's in the box. Is there anyone here applying for clinical psychology? So are you asking about like more information about it? I can send you the webpage for clinical psychology if that's what you want.
Right, anyway. So I've just sent you through this link. Initially, it won't look like there's anything, but you will notice down the bottom there will be a box where Caroline Sargison will be there. Also, if you want to come along to the ACER application nursing midwifery session, you are welcome to come to that as well.
I'm just going to send you this webpage.
Yeah, I will send through the personal statement review. Okay, I feel like that's all questions answered. Okay, I think we can sign off now. Thank you ever so much, everybody. Have a lovely, lovely evening, and yeah, best of luck with your personal statements. Take care.
Good luck, everyone. Bye.
Bye.